Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Red, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday, the 29th of September. And remember, whatever's discussed, one important point, ladies and gents. Liverpool will finish the month of September top of the league. Got to be happy about that, haven't we? We're here to talk through many things with me, talk through things Wolves, Bologna, things off the field, opinions, kind of put a yardstick of where we are so far on this Sunday. He's a man, to be fair, whenever I arrange something with him, he always pulls up in a lay-by. So I don't know if he's like a hitman in his spare time, but we've got him here. Grizz Khan. Grizz, how are we?
Yeah, it's not a good habit. I will stop this hitman thing. Yeah, it's not sustainable. I like slot system and formulas, so yeah, I will have to change it. But forgive me for this week and this week only. How we doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I was going to ask you, because we'll go into the Wolves' performance as normal. You probably, I don't know if you felt this, we'll see, but I have a look, obviously, at the reaction yesterday, and I still look on social media. You know, it's a weekend, it's a nice Sunday, Liverpool the top of the league. It doesn't feel like an ecstatic or a massively happy fan base, though, when I scroll through social media. What do you reckon, Grace?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's that word that you use, social media. Uh, when have you ever known social media to be not divisive? When have you ever known the fan base not to have sort of permutations, situations where they think, oh, the glass half empty as opposed to the glass half full? So look, it is what it is. And as you said, we are where we are. Regardless of everything else, we will finish the month of September. That's pretty much 2 months into the season on top of the tree. And that's what counts right now.
Yeah, you can only play what's put in front of you, as well, as they say. So, I mean, let's get into Wolves yesterday, Grizz, because I think before people had visions of, listen, we're playing the team in 20th here. They haven't scored. They've got a point. By the way, there's a virus apparently ripping through their squad and all sorts of things like that. And I think people maybe had a vision of what last night's kickoff would look like, which maybe didn't come to fruition that way. But what were your overall thoughts on a performance that many phrased as mixed, I think it's fair to say?
I think it's fair. I think that's a fair assessment. Mixes, I done a post-match reaction yesterday in darkness. At least you've got light. I kind of said that the Liverpool performance was a bit murky as well. And I found it frustrating, a bit sort of devoid of our usual control and smoothness, especially this season, what we've shown. But hey, we still managed to find a way. We still to restrict them to, we'll get into it, I'm sure, but very, very few clear-cut chances, if any. I can't recall. And yeah, there will be days where our midfield doesn't have the telepathic understanding that we have spoken about in recent weeks, because it is a new midfield, because it's a new set of players with different roles, and it won't always function like it didn't. And we're going to speak on it. There's no harm in being critical where there's a need to be critical. And I think there was a need to be critical of quite a few bits of the performance yesterday. But look, overall, you're right. Going to Wolves away is never going to be easy. Even though we've got a fantastic record there in recent times, they do play a good brand of football. They have got a very young progressive coach, good progressive coach in Martin O'Neill. Gary O'Neill, he's very different from Martin O'Neill in terms of philosophy. Let's make that clear. But yeah, it was a vital 3 points, I think, especially for the momentum, especially on the back of the Man City result earlier in the day. And I think we showed very good mentality, that word again, which we thought we've seen or heard the last of. We still have it.
Yeah, win's a win, as they say. And it was interesting because it was very different to the West Ham one on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup. I know that's the difference, but the nature of that. And I suppose the one thing you think back to Wednesday is there was a number of contenders for man of the match, a number of players that really shined. Probably not the same really in this. It might be more talking about pass sparks for a few. Who was your standout though, Grizz? Who did you plump for man of the match in this one?
You're so spot on. Last week we were kind of going through the whole team. I think we spent about 10 minutes going through the different leagues because that's how good it was in terms of performance levels. Not so, as you said. Quite a few getting that pass mark, whether that's a 5 in your estimation or mine 5 or 6. A lot of players scored about 5 or 6. I think the only ones that, for me, reached sort of above 7 or 8 in my ratings was, I think it comes down to Gravenberch, Ibu, and Virgil for me. I thought all three, and notice how that's the new spine of our team. That's right down the center of our team. I thought Virgil was immaculate.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so I'm very open to admitting that I was one of the few stupid ones now that thought we may have seen the best of Virgil. That doesn't mean I thought he's finished.
Yeah.
Or, that's that. Let's sell him and flog him and don't give him a new contract. I just thought 33 played the amount of football that he's played. He may be on the wane. And I don't think it was an outrageous take. And I don't think it was an outlandish take. I just thought, we're not going to see those levels of Virgil. My God, have we seen those verges of level Virgil already? He's been fantastic. He's been sublime. He's been majestic. All of the adjectives and words we've used to describe Virgil in the last few years. And that aura seems to be back, Dave. The aura and the captaincy. I've seen a new side to his leadership skills and levels, Dave. He's always come across as a very laid-back, casual type centre-back that just sort of relied on his natural, amazing ability. But I've seen a responsibility aside to him that he realizes he's one of the very few seniors left in this team. And he's been magnificent. Ibu Konaté alongside him. Of course, the error that he makes kind of sort of overshadows what would have been a close to a 9 out of 10 performance for me. Slightly gets a lower mark for that mistake, but he was magnificent. Block after block. Of course, scores a magnificent header. And all aboard the gravy train, Dave. All aboard the gravy train. He continues to be the standout performer in our midfield. He wasn't ably assisted by his counterparts this week, yet he still managed to shine through. Magnificent.
Yeah, you're right, especially that core, the spine of the team, as you'd say. It's interesting because it's right at the moment. I get it. Konaté, Grab, they're going up. They're doing the interviews with Sky, and they're having there was a nice little joke, wasn't there, with Konaté saying he listens to Gary Neville and makes those decisions. That was nice, but it's just interesting the way. I never thought I'd say this. Virgil van Dijk is just quietly being the best centre half in the world week after week with little to no fanfare, but long may it continue. And I mean, we've got to speak about Gravenberch. And we're speaking about him every week, to be honest, Grizz. And it's kind of getting to the stage where people are like, let's calm it down. It's not too much. But it's not overhyping if you're just saying what you're seeing each week, is it?
That's exactly it, Dave. Speak on what you see. I mean, that's all, us as podcasters or commentators or fan media alike. That's all we're here for. Just to speak on what we think and what we see. And what we're seeing is a very, very high-level operator right now. He's operating in a new position, in a new role that we've discussed to death. Different attributes needed to what many thought he's got. So he's got a very good range of ball-carrying skills, technical ability top-notch. Has he got the mentality? Has he got the desire and the hunger needed to defend, win his duels, have positional awareness, track runners? Arne Slot himself said he surprised him in that aspect. Everything about him so far has been immaculate. His play seems so clean, Dave. Everything he does is just clockwork. Everything that we think, right, what he needs to do in this position is do this, do this, do that. He does exactly that.
Yeah.
He'll get the ball and then what he'll do is pass it out there. We can see it on the screen. He does that on the pitch. And that's fantastic. It sounds basic, but it just helps circulate the ball. It helps progress the team exactly how Slot wants. And as I've said, his defensive side to his game has improved threefold, fourfold. I never knew. Again, it's amazing. This is why I am the weight I am, because I have a lot of humble pie served me. And there's no harm in eating more humble pie when I said I didn't think Gravenberch had that defensive side to him, the tracking of runners, the pressing. Bless him, he's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant in that aspect. And long may it continue, Dave. Long may we continue to speak about it every week.
Yeah, and by the way, if you want to assess whether your friends are liars, just ask any Liverpool supporting friends, did they think Ryan Gravenberch would be this good at the start of the season? Anyone that says yes, eliminate that person from your life. That would be my best tip for you. I mean, a good one that's popped up on Opta as well today, ladies and gents, for your stats. 2012, remember the year, because yesterday, Ryan Gravenberch was the first Premier League midfielder to contest more than 5 duels in the match with 100% success. He did 8. Make 3 or more tackles with 100% success, and make 50 plus passes at a 90% plus accuracy. 57 out of 62 for Ryan yesterday. Since, I don't think anyone would get this, Sandro for Spurs against Blackburn in April 2012. And we just said that name because we've been here all day trying to guess that, and I'm still trying to think of Sandro now. But who cares? Ryan Gravenberch is bossing it. And Konaté, I mean, I'll start with Konaté. His performance had everything, the good and the bad yesterday, didn't it, Grizz? He didn't not give his full range, a full portfolio yesterday, did he?
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I get what you're saying because of that very obvious error and mistake. Again, but even that mistake, I don't know your thoughts, and obviously we'll get the viewers and watchers, listeners' thoughts. I wouldn't wholly blame him for the error and the mistake. I think there was very much an element of Alisson not being as sharp as he usually would be in that scenario. We know he's just come back from injury. Normally, would Alisson have come off his line quicker and snapped that up? Because I'm assuming that's what Konaté thought, because Konaté was in absolute perfect control and he's almost shepherding it. Either some were saying he's trying to shepherd it out. I don't think he is. I think he's actually waiting for Alisson to collect. Now, if he's waiting for Alisson to collect, that is partly an error from Alisson. But we know the basic layman's defender's rule in that scenario is, if in doubt, kick it out. So, yes, the majority of the blame may be at Konaté's feet, but I think for me, personally, there's quite a blame to Alisson, for Alisson to not come out and just gather that up, because it was a nothing scenario. But as you said, apart from that ugly bit, there was so much of the good. Just your typical monstrous display from a centre-back in the Premier League, because it wasn't a game for lovely football and sort of build-up play from the opposition. Yeah. There was a lot of just shepherding and commanding, and that bloke they got up front, I'm sorry I call him bloke, but you'll have to help me with his name.
Kuna?
No, the striker, the big
fella. Larson, yes, the big fella, yeah.
The big fella, he's quite a handful, and he's got a reputation, quite a bit of a name to be, even though Wolves have got a disastrous start, but he's been apparently very impressive. I thought we manhandled him. I thought we handled him very well. And yeah, as you said, Cunha was giving Trent a few issues. And with Bellegarde, is it? On that side, first half, they were trying to overload that side. So Konaté had to cover Trent quite a bit. He was back to his imperious best. You know, when Konaté first started playing that role, Dave, about 2 seasons ago, and really came to the fore in the Champions League final. That was Ibu at his best. That was Virgil at his best, which means that we have now conceded only 2 goals, is it, in the Premier League in era. And the other goal was, well, a brilliant shot from Hudson-Odoi. Konaté was magnificent. And again, long may it continue. Dave, we've discussed his injury situation. Please, God, just let him carry on in the form and fitness that he's shown.
Yeah, wasn't upset at all to see him left at home for that West Ham Carabao. And you're right about the goal. I watched it back this morning, and Robbo does a nice interception, and then Konaté takes that little side glance at Alisson, who actually, I don't know if he's been watching Strictly Come Dancing, but he does actually take 2 steps towards the ball and then sort of comes back like a bit of a cha-cha almost type of thing. So I think Ibu's not kind of kept him in his eye line and thinking he's coming, hence the spread his body, block the forward, getting it. And then Alisson's not there, like you said. So I'm probably looking at Alisson, could do better there, but that golden rule, yeah, just belt it out and have the discussion afterwards. It's one of those. But yeah, after that, it still makes a great block, doesn't he, late on when Forbes, I think it is, their wingers through and turn Trent. He comes across, that was celebrated. And he gets another goal. Another goal, Grizz, as well. That's 2 for the season already. Weirdly enough, I couldn't believe it when I saw that stat this morning. His first Premier League goal. They've all come in other competitions as well. I mean, he's on 2 for the season. I'm not going to ask Ibu to start putting up those John Terry-style 15 numbers or anything like that. What would you say Ibu as a goal target for this campaign?
Listen, if our centre-backs combined can get around the 15 mark, and I'm talking about Virgil and him in conjunction with each other, if they can get between 15 to 20, that would be magnificent going, Dave. Because you've got to remember, we've got goal threats from all over the place. And I have 6 forwards are all goal threats. So if we can add 15 to 20, we can pretty much guarantee a brilliant season, you can safely say, because we are kind of guaranteed 50 to 60 goals between the other lads, minimum. So I'd be looking at between 15 to 20 between the 2 of them. And it'd be fair share because Virgil's, I mean, look, let's have a little mini competition between the 2 magnificent centre-backs. He scores one week, he scores the other week. And we know, in the Premier League, we know it's not always going to be plain sailing like it wasn't yesterday. Sometimes you set piece, or from a resulting set piece, as the case may be yesterday, to get you that goal, and it makes the world of difference. So, 15 to 20 would be a nice figure that I'd look at between the 2 of them. Because let's not forget, Matip used to get his fair share of Premier League goals as well. So, if Ibu can follow in the footsteps of Joe Matip, he'll be doing very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they can keep being the meanest defence in the Premier League as well, at the same time, everyone is happy with that. Now, this player's performance I did want to talk about, Grizz, because I won't say again, it's not Van Dijk gone under the radar, because Diogo Jota's never going to go under the radar when he's back at Molineux, when you could hear the home fans giving him a bit of stick, obviously, since the move, naturally, and expected sometimes. Was it just a typical Jota performance, as in it was either terrible or brilliant? There is no in-between sometimes with Diogo Jota.
Yeah, look, I'm a huge Diogo, as I call him, Diogo Jota fan, a huge fan. And for me, his biggest attribute is game intelligence, Dave. He may not have the skills that other people look for, the attributes that other people look for, and that's fine. I think in conjunction with all the other forwards, we have enough profiles and attributes to cover every kind of attacker.
Yeah,
he is probably the highest IQ attacker that we have, and I've seen in a long time, Dave. I've mentioned this so many times in other podcasts and shows. He's not the quickest. He's not the most aesthetically pleasing footballer. He's not, he's not the strongest. He's fairly strong, but he's not the strongest. Yet, he will give a run for their money for anyone, any centre-back in world football. And that's because of his IQ and his energy and his dedication to not hide. Look, he had a very scrappy game yesterday, Dave. His touch, his control were scandalous at times. His hold-up play was awful at times. Alongside Mohamed Salah, I'm not letting Mohamed Salah get away with that performance. I know he scored as well, but it was another awful performance from Mo. But back to Jota. As I said, all of those things, but he never shied away. He always still were persistent to try to get in the right positions. And lo and behold, he finds himself on the left wing. And that is as good a cross as you're likely from any winger in the Premier League this season, Dave, on his wrong foot. Absolute peach of a cross. And then not moments later, but in the second half, moments after they equalised, Diogo Jota is making the run. And he made 2 or 3 of them where some could say that he was pulled back and hauled back in a couple of situations, but this was the most obvious. Just there, Dave. He's just there. He knows where he needs to be. And that's the sign of a high-level IQ attacker, stroke striker. They know where they need to be, and he will be there. And then he gets 2 assists after having a very average game overall. And that's all you can ask for. Stay in the game, keep making an impact, never stop. That is Diogo Jota.
Yeah, no 2 ways about it. In fact, as you usually say to pals, keep an eye on Jota, because when he's playing badly, that'll probably be when he sticks one in the net or makes one happen. So yeah, can't argue with those 2 yesterday, can you? And I suppose at this point, I'm seeing a lot of people, and I get this because we are at the end of September now, Grizz. Where are we? And obviously Slot had talked about this, which we'll come on to as well. This season so far, and I suppose it will be based on your expectations or what you thought maybe would happen. Because I know people will talk about how are we performing, how many we scoring, conceded, the calmness, the control, the easier fixtures, as people have alluded to. What score would you give us out of 10 so far this season, where we are now?
It's very difficult not to give a score above 7 because that's 7 wins out of 8. Literally, out of 8. We are breadth of 2 centimetres, would you say, in off the post. Luis Diaz shot against Nottingham Forest from pretty much going 8 out, because if we take the lead against Forest, we win that as well. So we are very close to being 8 out of 8, Dave, which includes trips away to Old Trafford, Wolves and Milan. I mean, that's the way it is. We haven't played the hardest opposition. Yes, absolutely, many more stiff tests to come. But whatever we've done so far, barring the Nottingham Forest blip, has been fantastic. Look, I literally just tweeted that everyone's allowed to get carried away. Everyone's allowed to do what they want, feel what they need, support how they want. But for me personally, the need not to fall off like Arsenal under Wenger and United under Fergie, the need not to drop off like them clubs was paramount. Many opposition, pundits, commentators alike, thought we will fall off with Slot taking over from Klopp. And I think it's very conclusive already to suggest that we are no way the finished article. We are no way close to being the complete team, but we are not going anywhere. We are not falling off like them clubs. So that's very encouraging so far. We continue to be work in progress, and we continue and hope that Slot is learning as he goes along, because it's very much a learning curve for him. This Premier League is daunting for anyone. It doesn't matter how experienced coach he is, and he's not the most experienced coach. So for him to be adapting the way he is so far, very, very good signs. To answer your question in a long-winded way, I'd give it an 8, Dave.
Yeah, I think that's a fair score. Sometimes it can be the outcome rather than the journey. If anyone had told you at the start of this season, with everything that was changing, we will be 1 point clear at the top by the end of September, I think if we're honest people, you'd have snapped everyone's hand off for that. Let's not change that at all, winning at the San Siro. Yes, there could always be blips along the way. That was to be expected, like Nottingham Forest, but overall, plenty to be excited about, especially with a new man in charge. And we always, as we do on the Daily Red, we do talk about comments or things that come out on Sunday, Grizz. There's just a few I want to put by you. Arne Slot made a few interesting comments naturally after the game. So a few questions he was asked, but he was asked about how it feels good naturally to be at the top of the table. And he said, it feels good to be top. You want to be up there, but it doesn't tell me that much at the moment. If you look at Wolves, for instance, they are down in the table, but they played much better than that today. After 19 games, it'll tell me something, but not after 6. 19 games to look at the table, Grizz, or are you having a bit of a glance before?
There was a Dutchman, Pep Linders, that I used to love listening to in press conferences or his interviews when he talks about football. This guy has pretty much overtaken him already. He says everything that I'd want to hear from my coach. And the way he speaks about the game and the way he's sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just calms people's expectations and doesn't be sort of overly pessimistic about it. Very realistic, and I think he's right. I think it's not a time to look at the table per se, but just take each game as it comes. All the boring old cliches, but they're said so often for a reason, because it's true. And we're 6 games in. He's right. I don't think it's a true reflection of things overall, because we know it's all about sort of the kind of fixtures that you've been given. We could have played. Now, if this was, we've done Man City, Spurs, Arsenal away, and we've had United and Villa and Newcastle, then my expectations would probably be through the roof now if we were sitting pretty after those set of fixtures. But look, let's be honest. We have played. We've had a friendlier than others start to the fixture list. The next set of 6 to 8 fixtures will tell us everything. So I won't wait until game week 19, like Slot is referring to. I'll be in a very good place to judge how our season's going to go in game week 12. If we're both fit and healthy and we are still speaking, we haven't fallen out and blocked each other on Twitter or by game week 12, we will discuss. I think game week 12 will be a brilliant time to discuss where we are, Dave.
There we go. Marker in the sand. Yeah, and I agree. I think it's right and he did it in the embargo on Friday night as well. Manage expectations. Let's not get carried away. It's interesting how he refers to it as the left and right hand side of the table, as they'd say in Holland. We talk about the top and the bottom. So yeah, I think he's doing well. I didn't mind what he said on that. And the only other player I wanted to pull out, and we kind of talked about this, but it was interesting you mentioned mentality about him before, Grizz. Ryan Gravenberch naturally did an interview, and there's a few nationals that gave quotes from him. So he said, of this game, I think we lost a lot of concentration, to be honest, myself included. We won, but we have to learn from what we missed today. We have to get better. This season, I wanted to show myself again. He, as in on a slot, put me in the starting 11, and he's given me a lot more confidence. Just even reading that, seems like he's given him he's developed more maturity as well, hasn't he, Grizz?
Yeah, 22 years old, Dave. We forget. I mean, he's been around for so long on the periphery, on the scene of young footballers, sort of, predicted to have wonderful futures. And as we've discussed before, he was in that sort of Tchouaméni, Jude Bellingham conversations. And what a midfield that would have been if we were able to get Tchouaméni and Jude alongside him, eh? But hey, it is what it is. We've ended up with one of the gems, and he's showing his true colours now. He seems to have found a level of maturity. He most certainly has found a role that is very specific to him now, which is very important. And I've always said this. I think young players, yes, whilst they should be adaptable and sort of have an ability to play in a field, I think there comes a stage in their career, and I think 22 is a perfect age where you hone in on one role, on one specific role. I think Curtis Jones has suffered with as a result of not having something like. But I think we found, or Slot has sort of has visionized a role for him. And yeah, look, long may he continue, like I said, in learning the trade, because it's a trade, and he admits to learning, and he admits, I didn't read those quotes actually, he admits to, like you said in the quotes, about his levels of concentration. And yeah, he's going to have lapses of concentration. Every player does, especially young players in new roles with new, sort of, as I said before, responsibilities.
Yeah.
And he's good. He's good. He knows about it, and long may it continue.
Yeah, starting very much to become a prominent figure there as well. And the only other one, and don't want to end it on a downer necessarily, but it is a right to focus, I think, on this player, because a lot of people seem to be, I think it's fair to say, taking aim a little bit at Dominic Szoboszlai at the moment. Yesterday, maybe just at recent form, I don't know as well, but he does seem to be getting a lot of criticism for yesterday's performance. Are you in the more deserved, more unfair, somewhere in the middle? Where do you stand on him yesterday, Grizz?
I'd like to think I'm always a kind of in the middle category of fan in terms of opinions. And I'm still there. I don't want to go extreme on either way. When he started off brilliantly,
yeah,
there's no need to get carried away. And now he's having an indifferent patch. There's no need to sort of write him off like we've done for Gravenberch in the past, like we've done for Curtis Jones in the past, like we've done for Harvey in the past. Dave, is there a player that we haven't sold or finished off in our minds or on social media? Szoboszlai, I think it's important to note that, again, a very new role for him, especially in the Liverpool system, especially in the slot system. Now, he may play this for his previous club at times. I don't think he plays anything like this for his national team. He's far deeper for his national team. He progresses further forward, but his base is far deeper from his national team. So therefore, it means it's a whole new role again. Same thing with Gravenberch, a whole new system for him, a whole new role, a whole new set of players around him. Let him work at it. He is doing magnificent numbers off the ball, where his quality and his output on the ball can improve. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it for now. He seems to be a slot favourite in terms of what he requires from the player in that specific role. He doesn't play it like a Harvey Elliott would play it. He doesn't play it like a Cody Gakpo, or some are suggesting Nunes to play it. Diaz to play it. He plays it differently. He's been used as a counter presser, the initiator, cover of spaces, tracking back. And as I said, off the ball, he's insane. On the ball, vast improvements needed. But let's see. I'm not willing to go either way on it yet. It's just a matter of, again, another player that's work in progress.
Yeah, it does seem quite drastic, some of the reactions. I mean, it is okay, people, to say that you don't think he had a good game yesterday. That's okay to say. It's also okay to say that, as Grizz mentioned there, he's our key pressing item in this team as well. The key man there. The off-the-ball numbers are insane. And we still see him covering, even yesterday at times, back and helping out the midfield. And he's clearly seen as a key cog by Arne Slot. So that's all that really matters there. I suppose the only question I wanted to ask, that chance, bad miss, brilliant save. Which one did you file it under?
Oh, gosh. What? Can you really call them good saves, because it's the only position he could have hit? Because it was instinctive. He was there. The keeper was there. The keeper didn't anticipate or make a move to save it. It hit the keeper, as opposed to the keeper diving to the left or the right and showing great reactions. Okay, he showed reactions to sort of keep it out because it was at him. I think that goes down as a miss. I understand that you try to make as good contact as you can in that situation, but you do try to put it in a semi-corner. It doesn't have to be in the corner, because we know so many times if you try to be pinpoint accurate with that kind of finish, there's a lot of tendency for it to go wide, or for you to completely miss it even at times. But he literally just concentrated on the contact as opposed to any form of direction. And that's my only criticism of that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And listen, you need luck in those situations. I think it hits the inside, doesn't it, Johnston's thigh, and it could ricochet anywhere, and it bounces wide. So yeah, on another day, we're talking about a goal and a whole different conversation. But we finished the weekend top. We finished the month top, ladies and gents. Just remember that. And I suppose moving a bit into October, Grizz, this coming week, Bologna at Anfield. So a Champions League second game of the group stage. With the schedule, with what you've seen yesterday as well, making many changes for Wednesday at all.
It's another intriguing, looking forward to the lineup, isn't it, in terms of the and what Slot thinks and how he operates. We just don't know. The Carabao Cup, we all kind of assumed that it's going to be, well, I did anyway, certainly. I knew it's going to be a whole different team. But this is the Champions League, Dave. And we know coaches across Europe view the Champions League, even the Europa League, very different from maybe coaches from this country and commentators and pundits alike. I think we go strong, Dave. I think we look to try to get as many wins as possible and for sure win the home ties in the Champions League qualifying stages. So I think we go very strong. I don't think he'll be anything like the Carabao Cup team. I think he'll be more like his Premier League team, which I think will be maybe at the max 2 changes. I think that's what I would think he's going to do. Maybe a couple of changes, but that's it. I think we go strong.
Yeah, that'll be honest. That's exactly what I was thinking. Similar to the San Siro, where the changes were more about freshening it up, giving certain players a rest. So I wouldn't be surprised if a Gakpo came in. But like you said, when you look at the ties we've got, home against Bologna feels winnable, especially when we know there's the likes of Leverkusen, Real Madrid still to come to Anfield. So yeah, I'm expecting that.
I'm sorry, they've had a tough fixture over the weekend where they played the best part of 40 minutes with 10 men.
Yeah.
So, let's. I'm hoping we play with a bit of intensity. I mean, I know we've been playing with control and poise and everything else, but this is the kind of game, Dave, that we've promised not to keep going back to the Klopp. But under Klopp, this is one of those games where I would anticipate a thunderstorm of a start and sort of take a couple of goal lead and put this game to bed very early on. But let's see how Slot approaches it. I suspect it's going to continuation of the control and poise and pick them off.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and it'll be his first one before a 12:30 kickoff on Palace, which follows as well. So yeah, he's an interesting one. And I mean, we're thinking this will be quite a strong lineup, Grizz. The Carabao Cup, I mean, it was a great win. We've got not the best of draws again, Brighton away for the next round. I mean, when that comes, surely we think that'll be the second string when it arrives, or whatever is the rotation option, if that's the right phrase.
Yeah, surely. I think the League Cup is the one that's going to be sort of pretty much given to this, I don't know what you want to call it, the squad. Let's just call it the squad. Show the respect that they deserve. That will be the one for the squads. Yeah, and I think the Champions League and even the FA Cup, I suspect he's going to do the same in the FA Cup. So the domestic trophies will be for the squad. I think the Champions League and the Premier League will be pretty much, as we said, barring a couple of changes for freshness, stroke, injury, hopefully not the injury side. Freshness, I think there'll be a couple of changes every week. Whereas the league and the FA Cup will be pretty much as they want to progress and how far we progress, it will be the squad.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how that comes when it does. And a couple of other things off the field. So I don't know if you see the video at all. It came out quite late on Friday, Grizz. Liverpool's FIFA ratings. I'm not a gamer myself. I won't pretend I play FIFA or anything like that. But quite a few take interest, mainly just to be like seeing the players sort of bond together and have a bit of a crack together as well. Have you seen it at all? Have you scanned that video or seen anything from it?
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Anything that shows sort of, as you said, the bonding of players, the camaraderie behind the scenes, kind of the relationships they're building with each other, because a lot of them are building new relationships We're no longer used to the Milners and the Hendersons, doing the same thing with Robbo and Virgil. All that kind of thing is a thing of the past. So yeah, new players, new relationships being built, bonding, and it was fun. I love Diogo Jota sort of going around and interviewing the players and giving them their cards. Yeah, I loved it. Good little laugh.
Only question I've got from that, an interesting one, which did prompt a bit of debate from a few players. Pace-wise, Chiesa was the highest on 93. In a 100-metre race between the Liverpool squad, would Chiesa come out top for you?
Not in 100 meters, no. I think Chiesa would be absolutely up there in a 15-meter sprint, 20-meter sprint.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how they base or work this, but in a 100-meter sprint, I think Nunes or Szoboszlai would be up there. That's just my gut instinct. Now, we don't know the numbers. In fact, we'll try to dig it up and have a chat about it next week and see what we found out. But I think Szoboszlai and Nunes, by all accounts, would be the 100-meter gold and silver medalists. I'm not sure on Fede.
It's tough, isn't it? Yeah, there's something I would like you. I'm thinking Diaz and Chiesa, great acceleration off the standing start as well. That's, the nature of wingers. 100 meters, that's when your athletes come into the fore, don't they? So yeah, when Darwin or maybe, like you said, Szoboszlai opens that stride. Be a good watch, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd watch that.
We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll be digging some stats out for next week. And this one, Grizz, I mean, as much as we talk about us, and it is about us, people are now starting to look with the table at the rivals, and we've got City losing an absolutely key player in Rodri. So everyone now asks that question, what does that mean for the title? Arsenal still relied on late goals yesterday against Leicester. People are looking at that. It's a simple question. I know it's not a simple answer now at this stage. Are we in a title race potentially for you?
Dave, you've done it. You've done it, haven't you? You've put me in the spot after saying it's not a simple answer, and then you want a simple answer. Oh, you're a tough taskmaster, Dave. Yes, we are in a title race because we're Liverpool Football Club, and that's what you aspire to be at the start of every season. You'd like to think. Yes, in my humble opinion, Rodri out for the season is probably the most significant injury news since Virgil being out for the Liverpool season. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Because that's the category I put Rodri in. I put Rodri in the Virgil game season changing category. I personally, and I know Liverpool fans hate it. I don't know why they hate it. I'm allowed to give an opinion outside of Liverpool. I make Arsenal my tips. I made them at the start of the season, and it's enhanced my opinion. The Rodri injury enhances my opinion that I make Arsenal the favourites. But if Arsenal are the favourites, Dave, and they haven't topped 90 points, and we have a track record of topping 90 points, and what did we finish on last season? 82 or something?
Yeah, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Are you telling me, Dave? Are you really telling me, or am I telling you and the audience and listeners listening, that if we finished on 82 points last season, and we've started off the season what we've started off, we cannot improve that by 6-7 points, which would, by facto, mean we are in a title race if Arsenal, I make favourites, haven't reached 90 points yet. So I hope I've convinced the listeners and viewers that yes, we are in a title race. Where we are favourites in the rankings is a different question. I make us third favourites, but for sure we are in a race.
Yeah, it's So it's an interesting one. I always find dull when some people say, "Oh, a title race doesn't begin until 10 games left to go." I get the nature of that and what they're saying. That's when it's the business end of the season.
Once the gunshot goes off, it's a race, Dave. Has anyone stopped? Has anyone not started? Everyone has started, which means the race has begun. So people that say that, come and grow up here. The race on.
Yeah, you don't win it straight away, but you can be out of it by Christmas as well, quite easily, as we know. So we have to look at it in those terms. And yeah, I get. I mean, we've said this before. No one wants Arsenal to win it because they're the biggest headed fans for the lowest end return. They really are in that regard. But there's no two ways about it. But at the same time, this is a team that finished 1 point behind Manchester City last season, I think it was. And now Rodri's out for this campaign. You have to factor in all these things. And there's a long way, a lot of twists and turns, but I know we're going to bring this up again at some point. One we may not be bringing up again. I don't know, Grizz, on this. I've got to ask you. Anthony Gordon, there was a lot of stories on Friday, wasn't there, that he is set to sign this new deal at Newcastle, a long-term deal, funnily enough, one that goes to 31, a lot of people were saying the suggestions. Now, we no need to talk about Anthony Gordon this summer because that was talked about to death. I suppose the implication with that, do you believe any Anthony Gordon to Liverpool talk is now dead in the water?
I wouldn't say it's dead in the water. In fact, I don't think it would change much in terms of what they would ask for him pre this new contract or after. Yes, what it means is we no longer would be able to get him for a discount price, like would have thought going into this summer if he didn't sign that contract, because that would be another year off his contract. But they were asking 70, 80 million for him this summer. And I suspect they will continue to ask 70, 80 million pounds for him next summer or the following summer, regardless of his contract. But I have a sneaky feeling with the form of Diaz and the Gakpo left-sided role now. I have a sneaky feeling, and it's just a feeling, it's just an opinion. It's not based on anything information related or heard anything. But I have a sneaky feeling we may have spoken or communicated with him that, we're okay for now, and therefore he's gone on to sign that contract, because I'm of the opinion if we let him know through his agent not to sign it, I don't think he would. But I think we probably said we're happy and content, because we are happy and content with Gakpo and Diaz right now. So, and that's the position he predominantly plays. So I wouldn't say it's dead in the water for now, but I think it's very cold for now.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that this summer. And I mean, we might as well finish talking about transfers and different bits, because Owen Hargreaves, as all people, was talking yesterday about Liverpool still needing a midfielder to be in this title race. So what did he say? He said about Gravenberch, he said, he's done brilliantly well, but he is not a defensive midfield player, which is fine, because when you play like teams like this, as in Wolves, you will still be the best. He's 180 centimetres, he's 22 years old, he's got everything. But he is not a specialist defensive midfield player. There is a difference. I think he's a brilliant midfielder. He is box to box, depending on who you play. But I think in a big game, in a one-off game, to go and win the Premier League or the Champions League, I think you need a specialist. And he does go on to talk quite a bit, but says he thinks Liverpool will look again in January. Quite a bit Owen Hargreaves talking about for an ex-United player about us, but there's not really much to talk about with his existing club or former club, is there? So agree with his sentiments there, Grizz? Do you think that will be something we do look really hard at in January again?
Yeah, overall, I don't think he said many things controversial or wrong. Of course, him being ex-United, you want to pick the bones of it and sort of criticize him and lambast him for it. But I agree with him overall. But then I would ask him the question, who has got a specialist DM out of Arsenal, Man City now? I would argue none of them have a specialist DM per se. I wouldn't call Declan Rice a specialist DM. I think he covers a lot of ground and does a lot of defensive work, but he's a box-to-box. And with Rodri's absence, Man City certainly don't have a specialist DM. So therefore, I think it's open. In terms of the Champions League and the Premier League, in terms of history, recent history, I've said this myself. Every team has a specialist defensive player in that area, calling a DM or whatever. But yeah, actually, you can call him a DM. Sorry, defensive midfielder. So yeah, I agree with that sentiment, and I also agree we will look in January. So who's to say that we can't win it? Because in case we do sort of recruit a specialist DM, but so far, like the stats that you reeled off earlier on, Gravenberch is doing his fair share of defensive work. So we have got a defensive player. He may become a specialist by the time we hear from Owen Hargreaves again.
Yeah, let's hope that's a long time, even longer than Gary Neville, but I don't think that will be the case. And you mentioned stats there, Grizz. We might as well finish with these because we pulled these up on Sunday morning from Dan Kennett on Thread. So shout out to Dan. What did he say? He said, Slots LFC are putting up some serious numbers across the 8 games so far, particularly on the defensive side. They're still only conceding shots every 17 minutes when the game is tied. And the value of these shots is tiny, just 0.4 XG. And according to Opta, only 2 big chances have been conceded when tied. Let's bring it home on a positive note, Grizz. That's all positive, isn't it? No two ways about it.
No two ways about it at all. People say, oh, level of opposition. Well, we want to harp your mind back to last season where we gave chances to lower league teams all the time. How many games do we remember, like basketball games and like sort of even the lower table teams were able to create chances. It was havoc. It was panic stations. We'd have to score 2, 3, 4 goals to win games of football. We know we'd concede, and usually first. It's the total opposite now. When we take the lead, I feel as though we've won the game. I genuinely feel that, and that's down to sort of the spine and the defensive work and the structure that is created in a short space of time. So yeah, let's continue in that vein of form and sort of the stats side of things. We'll maybe take a different angle look at, as I said, in the next 6 to 8 games. But if we have similar numbers after 6 to 8 games, I'll repeat, if the numbers are pretty similar after the next set of 6 to 8 fixtures in the league, then it's time to really get excited, Dave.
No doubt. 6 to 8 games is the next big marker. The next marker, though, will be a week today when me and Grizz reconvene. We'll see where we are after Bologna and an early kickoff against Crystal Palace. But right now, ladies and gents, just in case you missed it right at the start, Liverpool sit top of the league and will do for the entire or the rest of the month of September. All it leaves me to say is, as ever, Grizz, for the time, the insight. Thanks very much, Chief.
Pleasure, mate.
And there we are, ladies and gents. That's the Daily Red for Anfield Index.